Alright guys, my name is Shervin, welcome to my channel. In this video, we're going to take a look at every single credit card that I personally have. Now this has been a highly requested video. We talk about a ton of different credit cards on this channel, and a lot of you guys are curious to know which credit cards do I use myself. Which is why if you watch the end of the video, we're going to go over every single credit card that I have, which is quite a few. And of course, we're going to briefly go over what each of those credit cards offer and why I use them myself. Now, of course, I've made full videos about some of these credit cards before, so if you want to learn more details about any of these cards, you can go watch my videos on them as well. I'm obviously not going to go over every single detail with each of these cards because in that case, we'll be here for like 5 hours or something. So I'm just going to briefly go over what each card offers and why I have them. And if there's any credit card that you want to learn more about, then make sure to check out my full video on it. Now, as always, if there's any card that you're checking out and you're considering getting, then I leave all my referral links to all these cards down in the description below, where if you click on any of those links, it will take you right to the website where you can check out the card for yourself. And as always, you'd also be supporting the channel in the meantime, which I always appreciate. But without further ado, let's get right into the card that I use most often, and that is the Amex Cobalt card. Now, the Cobalt card is amazing because it offers 5 points on every dollar spent on eats and drinks, which basically includes restaurants, bars, coffee shops, and groceries. Now, for reference, each point that you have with Amex is worth at least 1 cent when redeeming towards travel. But if you transfer those points to partners such as Aeroplan or Flying Blue Miles, then you can get a lot more value from those points if you use them at the right times on the right things, usually up to slightly higher than 2 cents per point. So the fact that you get 5 points on every dollar spent on groceries and dining basically means that you're getting more than 10% value back on all those purchases. Not to mention, you also get 3 points per dollar spent on streaming services, 2 points per dollar spent on travel, 1 point per dollar spent on everything else, a ton of travel coverages such as lost baggage insurance, flight delay insurance, auto rental insurance, or even out-of-province medical insurance. Also, other coverages such as purchase protection and of course mobile device insurance. And you get all of that for just $13 a month, which is very affordable. That basically adds up to about $156 a year to just own this card, and given all the stuff that I get back from it, it's absolutely worth every penny. And given all the points and all the value that you get from all these purchases, this is the card that I use for the vast majority of the purchases that I make. Now, the card that I use the second most often is the Amex Business Platinum card. Now, this card costs $800 a year to own, which is quite a bit for most people. And you don't even get a lot of points on the purchases that you make. In fact, you make exactly 1.25 points per dollar spent on anything that you buy with this card. So why do I have this card, and why is it the card that I use the second most often? Well, as the name suggests, this is a business card, so I put all my business expenses on this card. But you might be wondering, why don't you just get a cheaper business card? Why do you have to have this one? Well, I have this card because of all the features that it offers, and there is a ton of those. Now, both versions of the Platinum card, both the business and the personal version, are a traveler's dream card. With these cards, you have unlimited access to over 1,300 airport lounges all across the world. Every year you get $200 in travel credit. So basically out of the $800 that you spend, you get $200 back right away if you just travel on a regular basis. You get $10 a month in cell phone bill credit. So basically you get $120 back again every single year just by the amount that you save on your cell phone bill. You get a number of other credits as well, like $200 credit every single year with Dell and $300 credit every single year with Indeed. You basically get all the same coverages as the Cobalt card when it comes to travel, purchase protection, or mobile device insurance, but you get even a higher protection amount for your mobile device insurance because unlike the Cobalt card, which covers you up to $1,000 per device, this card covers you up to $1,500 per device. You also get access to the Amex Concierge service, which is an amazing service. It's basically like having an assistant that can do anything for you. For example, you want tickets to a concert or a sporting event that hasn't gone on sale yet, and you want someone to be there to buy the tickets for you as soon as they go on sale. Well, you can contact the Amex Concierge service. You need someone to call a restaurant and book a table for you. Well, again, you can ask your Amex Concierge to do it for you. And a bunch of other stuff, basically anything that you need and anything that is feasible and legal to do, you can ask your Amex Concierge to do it for you, and they do an amazing job. Also, for those of you who travel a lot, you get a lot of amazing perks with hotels. There are a ton of hotels that have very good relationships with Amex, and they offer special perks just for the Platinum card members. This is stuff like guaranteed late checkout, guaranteed early check-in, upgraded rooms when available, $100 dining credit, free breakfast, free Wi-Fi, and a bunch more. So overall, the Amex Platinum card and the Amex Business Platinum card are very expensive cards to own, but particularly if you're someone who travels a lot, you get so much value from this card that it's absolutely worth the amount that you pay. Now, the card that I use the third most often is, surprise, surprise, another Amex card. I'm sorry, guys. I know I'm coming across like an Amex fanboy, and there are other cards that we're going to get into, but what can I do? Their cards are just too good. They are the ones that I use the most often. Now, the Amex Simply Cash Preferred card, which costs $10 a month to own, which adds up to $120 a year. This card offers cash back instead of points, and it offers 4% cash back on every dollar spent on gas and groceries, and then 2% cash back on everything else. Now, at one point, this card used to be my most used card, and that was before I got the Cobalt card, because the cash back that you get with this card is just absolutely amazing. 4% back on gas, 4% back on groceries, 2% on everything. These are some of the highest numbers available. And of course, this card also offers pretty much all the same coverages as the Cobalt card, whether it's the travel coverages, the mobile device protection, and the purchase protection. But of course, since I got the Cobalt card about a year or two ago, I haven't been using this card anywhere near as much as I used to. And in fact, nowadays, I really only use it for gas or for a particular purchase that is a big purchase that doesn't fit into any of those other categories. Now, of course, things have changed a little bit since the Rogers MasterCard got an upgrade recently. And now if you have that card and you also have either a Rogers or Fido phone plan or a Shaw Home Internet, you basically get 3% value back on that card from every purchase that you make, which is obviously better than just 2%. So in that sense, it has made me start to think that maybe I should get the Rogers card and not really use this one as often, maybe just use it for gas. Or alternatively, given that it is a paid card, I might just decide to cancel this one and just go with the Cobalt card and the Rogers card instead. But of course, this is still a great card for anyone who doesn't travel all that often, because with the Cobalt card, you get a lot of value as long as you spend those points on travel. Without spending the points on travel, you don't get that much value out of them for it to be an amazing deal. And if you're someone who doesn't travel all that often, then you should probably go with this card over the Cobalt card, and maybe you can pair it up with the Rogers card for all the other purchases that you make. But of course, you would still get 4% back on gas and 4% back on groceries, and of course, all the coverages like the purchase protection and the mobile device insurance. So this is still a really good card, but given my own personal situation where I use the Cobalt card on the majority of my purchases, and also the fact that I'm looking at getting the Rogers MasterCard as well, then this card may not be around for much longer, to be perfectly honest with you. Now, the card that I use the fourth most often is the Simply Financial Visa card. Now, this card has no annual fee, and in fact, it is one of the best no-fee credit cards available in Canada. It offers 4% back at restaurants, bars, and coffee shops, which for a no-fee card is just absolutely amazing. Now, of course, as I mentioned earlier, the Cobalt card gets you 5 points at restaurants, bars, and coffee shops, which if you redeem each of those points at 2 cents per point, that is 10% value back. So you might be wondering, when do I ever use this card over the Cobalt card? Well, the thing about Amex is that despite the fact that their cards are amazing, some places don't accept Amex cards. Now, in my experience, it's not that often. Usually about 90% of the time I can use my Amex cards no problem, but there is still that 10% of the time where you go somewhere and they just don't accept Amex cards at all. Well, for situations like that, it's usually a good idea to have some no-fee credit card alongside your Amex card, so that if the place that you go to just happens not to accept Amex, you can just use this card instead. And that's exactly what I do. Anytime I go somewhere at a restaurant, bar, or coffee shop, if they don't accept Amex and I can't use my Cobalt card, then I just use my Simply Financial Visa card and I get 4% back anyways. So great card, very simple. There's not a lot of shenanigans that go with it. It's not complicated. It's just simple cashback. And it's very good cashback rates, and I highly recommend it. Now, the card that I use the fifth most often is the Amazon MasterCard. Now, this card gets you 2.5% cashback on all the purchases that you make from Amazon and barely anything on all the other purchases that you make. Basically, this card is only good for when you buy something from Amazon because you get a good amount of cashback from that purchase. Now, of course, this card has no annual fees whatsoever, and that's really the reason why I got it, because it's free to own and I use Amazon a lot myself. So getting 2.5% back from Amazon is actually very significant for me. Now, of course, again, given the fact that the Rogers MasterCard offers 3% value back and is a free card to own, it might just be better to go with that card and use that on your Amazon purchases. But up until now, I've been using this card to get 2.5% back on Amazon. And what I really liked about it was that anytime it reached a certain amount, for me it was $25, it would just automatically give me an Amazon gift card right on my Amazon account. So in that sense, it's been very convenient to use. And again, I use Amazon a lot, so I get a lot of value from this card. But given how good the Rogers MasterCard has become, this is probably a card that you can just skip and you don't have to worry about. Next up, we have the BMO Cashback MasterCard, and this is a card that is free to own, but gets you 3% cashback on groceries. Now, the reason why I have this card is for all the places that sell groceries that don't accept Amex, where I can't use my Cobalt card. For example, the biggest grocery shop that I use that doesn't accept Amex is Loblaws. So for places like that where I can't use my Cobalt card, I just use this card. But again, given the fact that the Rogers MasterCard is now out there and is so good and gets you 3% value back on everything, again, there's probably no reason to get this card either, because you can just get the Rogers MasterCard and get 3% back on everything. Not just groceries like this card is offering you. Next up, we have the Scotiabank Scene Visa card, and this is probably one of the worst cards that I own. It is free to own and doesn't have any annual fees, but it is a card that has been downgraded so much over time. Back when I first got this card, it offered 5 scene points on every dollar spent at a movie theater, which was basically worth about 5% value back when spending towards movie tickets. But of course, about a year or two ago, Scotiabank decided to nerf this card and bring it back down to only 1 scene point on every dollar spent. So basically, instead of giving 5% value back, they only give 1% value back. Yeah, great job, Scotiabank. You really nailed it with that one. And of course, I've also made an entire video about how difficult it was to get the sign-up bonus for this card. Because again, at the time when I got this card, they were offering a certain amount of points if you spent $750 in the first 3 months, which of course I did. I spent more than that in about like a month or so, and I just never got the sign-up bonus. And no matter how many times I emailed the customer service, no matter how many times I called them and I stood on the line for an hour or so, it basically took me over a year to get the sign-up bonus, which I had completely earned, by the way. It's not like I was asking for an exception or for them to like help me out or anything. It's just horrible. Just don't get this card. The only reason I have kept it open is because if you close down cards that you own from the past, it lowers your average credit age, and that's not good for your credit score. So that's the only reason I've kept this card open, but I'm not going to use this card. It's pretty bad. And of course, last but not least, we have the CIBC Aventura Visa card. Now again, this is a free to own card. It has no annual fees and it basically gets you peanuts on any purchase that you make. But this is actually a special card for me because this is the first credit card that I ever got. In fact, when I was a college student, I got the student version of this card, and then after I graduated, they just automatically upgraded it to the normal version. And I've had this card since. This is my oldest credit card. I've had it for God knows how many years now. And even though I never use it because it's not a good card, it basically offers nothing for anything you do with it, it's still a very special card for me because it's a very nostalgic card. And even though I never use it, it's a card that every time I look at, I just have a smile on my face. So don't get this card. Definitely not a good card by any stretch of the imagination, but it does bring me a smile. Now, just as a bonus, I also have the Crypto.com credit card. This card doesn't work anymore. I stopped using Crypto.com about a year or two ago, but I do still have the card. It is a cool looking card. It is also a metal card similar to the Platinum card. But of course, after all the stuff that went down with FTX, I just don't really trust crypto brokerages anymore. And now I just hold all my crypto on an offline cold wallet so that no matter what happens, I don't lose access to it. So that's about it. That's all the credit cards that I own. Let me know in the comments down below which ones you have. If you haven't done so already, make sure to smash the subscribe button down below and join the community. I make new videos about personal finance and investing on a regular basis. And by subscribing to the channel, you get to see all my new videos right as they come out. Also, if you enjoyed the video and want to support me even more, do me a favor and smash the like button down below for the YouTube algorithm. Follow me on social media. I'm on X and Instagram at Shervin House. As always, if you have any questions about any of the stuff that we talked about in this video, let me know in the comments down below. I always respond to every single question that comes in. And now with all that said, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Cheers.